Welcome to the Easy Update. We're here with Teddy and Omni.
Hello.
Yes, hello.
They made We Are OFK.
You almost said OSC.
I did almost say OFC. What is that?
Of course. That's
Oh,
the
yeah,
abbreviation
it's
for
the
of course.
abbreviation
I
for
say
of
that
course.
all the time, and my
OFC.
autocorrect tries to fix it now.
Yeah.
I didn't know that, actually.
Obviously, they're not the only two people that made that game, but
Yes.
Teddy, you're like the director, one of the voices, and you sing in the songs.
Yeah. I'm like three things. I'm the director and co-writer and a voice. So I'm
And a voice.
Luca and the song.
But you also
song
sing,
voice.
yeah, song voice. 'Cause
Luca's
the-
spoken and singing voice.
Yeah.
Do they do that in
Legit.
Disney movies still?
I don't know, but I like it when they do. But I don't
in Frozen,
like it
okay.
when they don't hire singers.
Singers.
Like Sarah and I, our friend Sarah,
Yeah.
we saw the live action Beauty and the Beast together. And the second she started singing, we both just looked at each other like,
They recast.
Emma, well, it was her. No, she just can't sing.
Oh.
Because it was so auto-tuned. Good heavens.
I see.
And Omni, you did the score.
Yeah, I did the score parts.
So not the music parts, but the score for the game.
The score for the game.
Yeah,
Yes.
which I loved.
Thank you.
It was nice. I finished it today, but I can only talk about the first 2 episodes.
Oh yeah, you play. Yeah, like since people started playing it like X days ago,
Yeah.
for reviews basically, like no one knew the game as well as like it's basically. I felt like it was like me and then Omni, because Omni and I like listened through every scene together through the voiceover. We did it. Did we also go through the script?
Yes.
We went through the whole script together.
Oh, yeah, wow. It feels like
Yeah,
so long
right.
ago now.
To talk about score, and then we also listened through all of the voice acting like it was a radio play together to talk about score,
cool.
like while we were still building.
So you had recorded the VO before any music was done for
Yes.
the score.
Yes, not any music.
Yeah, there is some music,
Yeah.
but most of it was, after I had some dialogue and stuff to work with, which was really nice.
I think both of you may need to be closer to the mics.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll ASMR it.
Okay.
What if I did this?
Yeah, that's what I'm on
yeah,
the. I'm
that
on
was
the
what
trip.
I was hoping you would
Yeah, well, you caught me. I was going to try to do the much more complicated thing.
Move the entire room
Yeah.
10 inches
Okay. Cool.
north? Whatever.
Yeah, actually,
I think that's north.
it is north.
Yes.
Yeah.
How do you? Okay.
Because of the direction of the highway when we were coming in.
Jesus. Whoa.
Now they're going to triangulate where our studio is.
It's over.
There's a highway nearby.
It
It's
is
not
Los
that-
Angeles.
It's not that close. Yeah,
There's
you can't.
only one.
Yeah, there's only one highway, and it's always nearby.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So I remember seeing this goddamn palm tree like
Yeah.
4 years ago, and no one would tell me what the hell was going on. And they were like, "It's Teddy's thing," and I'm like, "God damn it, Teddy!
Yeah,
What are
it's-
you working on, you cheeky bastard?" And now here it is.
That's true. That is what happened. You said that to me. Yeah. Well, like okay.
Teddy and I have been friends for a while.
We have been friends for a very long
I
time.
don't know if I said that. We know each other. Omniboi, I just met, but I
I'm
can
new.
tell we're gonna hate each other.
It'll eventually happen, but I feel like we're in like the good part now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a fear where it's like I kind of assume all friendships just kind of have a ticking timer,
Whoa.
and they just kind of expire after a while.
Well, they
so like
do.
if I
They
don't
run
hear
their
from
course.
someone for a while, then I'm just like, well, I guess we're done.
No, that's a thing.
Yeah.
That's real. I mean, either the ticking timer on your body expires or the friendship. Like one has to time out.
Yeah.
I've definitely had times where I like won't let a friendship expire because I'm like that means they hate me now, and it's usually not what
that's
that
what
is.
I think,
yeah,
too.
yeah, I understand.
I'm like, they haven't texted me in 2 weeks, and then
Yep.
then my friend is like, 2 weeks is probably too short for that cool down. And I was like, listen, I can't control my neuroses,
Yeah.
okay?
Okay, wait. So we have been working on it for 4.5 years, and there was a time period where we were hyper secret about it, and that was for 2 reasons. One, because we weren't actually ready to talk about it.
Fair
but
enough.
the people Kowloon Knights who like gave us money to make this, were like, "Hey, we're gonna do a big PR thing. Do you want to be a part of it?" And I was like, "No." And they're like, "Okay, but the other person who's gonna be in it is what's his name from Shadow of the Colossus, the dude.
Yeah.
The well, not the only one.
I don't
but,
remember
like, the
anyone's
director.
names, but yeah.
Yeah,
name.
I did it. I don't know, but I was like, "Oh fuck yeah, I want us to be like in a magazine with him." So I was like,
Yeah.
"Cool, we'll do it." And then I agreed to do an interview unprepared, like right now, and they were like, "Oh, what's the game called?" And I was like, "Oh, I can't talk about it yet." And they're like, "Okay, well, what's the studio called?" And I was like, "Well, we're not really a studio, so like we don't have a studio name." And they're like, "What do you want? Like, am I supposed to just?"
Yeah. What is this interview? Yeah.
Yeah. So then I did the palm tree emoji thing because I was like, "Okay, they're like, does it have a code name?" And I'm like, "No." Because I don't want an Untitled Goose Game to happen to us.
Yeah.
Where if you announce a code name, you get stuck with it.
Yeah.
So you went Prince and just did a symbol.
We did Prince.
Yeah.
Their words, not mine. Whoever published that at Polygon or
Did
something.
they say that?
They said Prince
Oh,
and I was
funny.
like, yeah!
That's very
the
good.
dream.
That's very good.
And sure enough, yeah. So it just meant that people were aware of it early when we weren't ready to talk about it. And then also we were trying to be kind of hyper secret because we were trying to figure out how to talk about
What it is.
having a virtual
Yeah.
band and like characters that exist in the real world. And I don't know if we have to. Do we have to like
Sure.
tell people about it?
Teddy, what is We Are OFK? I mean, this is more of like an informal kind of hang, but yeah, OFK is like an interactive series. It was so cute. Okay, so I think I was playing episode 5 and then, or no, 4 and then 5, whatever.
Okay.
And then, and the email encouraged you to play it with friends and family on the couch or whatever. So my girlfriend's mom, which we wish there was a better term for that,
There
was
isn't.
was on the couch next to me. She's Norwegian, like from Norway. And she was just like, she was watching me play for a while and she's like, "You're not doing much." And I was like, "Well, it's like an interactive series. I'm making choices for the dialogue." And she goes, "Oh." And then she goes, "I like the colors." And I'm like, And then she goes, "I really like them." And then she goes, "I like this. It's not violent." And then like 10 minutes later, she was fully in. And I was
Sick.
like explaining the story and like, she loves it.
Yes, good, great.
So yeah, I also liked it. I'm very curious. It was very interesting. Like knowing you were working on something, not knowing what it was, seeing the trailers and being like, okay, this is Teddy's thing. And then like, was it hard to make trailers for this? Like to like convey the tone of it and like explain what it is? Like how did you do it?
So okay, wait, should I tell them what it is? Okay, here I'm going anyway. Also, wait, by the way, I'm really glad that you said that thing about how you read in the email that we wanted people to play with people.
Yeah.
Because like I put that in and if my friends from Papa Gender are watching, they're like, "Oh, that like," I forget. We had a small conversation. I was like, people are gonna do it, and then case in point. Okay,
Case in point. I leaked it to Norway 5 days before release.
That's cool. Great. No, that's great. Like honestly, if like everything leaked because she's like super tapped into.
She's got like 1 billion Twitter followers.
There's a clone out before we come out. Okay, so
I'd be very impressed.
I'm gonna do the thing and then I'm gonna answer your question. The project is We Are OFK, and it's like 2 things, right? It's a virtual band called OFK. So a virtual band like a Gorillaz or a Hatsune Miku or Person the Replicants or Alvin and the Chipmunks or the Monkees, kinda technically. It's a band that's like kinda characters, and then it's a game that tells their story.
Yeah.
We call it an interactive series a lot of the time.
Yeah.
It's either. It's just to set
Yeah.
expectations, like you were saying.
Yeah.
Like it's like, hey, you're gonna touch it maybe a couple times a minute and have a chill time and hang out with your friends.
I explained it to her because she doesn't do gaming at all. I was like, it's like an interactive show, because like she had seen my girlfriend and I playing like Sea of Thieves, you know, and she was like, well, this isn't like the ships thing you were doing, and I'm like, no, it's
ships
very
thing.
different.
Good.
This is more like a show, you know, than a ships thing. But yeah.
It's a terminology thing. Oh, so trailers.
Yeah. Well, because the trailers, like, and it's always funny when you have a friend who's making a game and you have the job that I have, because I want to be impartial and I want to be like, but also I want to support my friend, you know? And so like, I never know what to expect. And I'm like, fuck, what if I hate this game? You know, like what if it's like, I don't know, really twee or something. And then I, you know, play it. And so far I've enjoyed most of the games my friends have made. I did enjoy this one.
Look, I mean, yeah.
And I'm very happy that I did. No, because it like makes this conversation easier.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah, that's good.
It's easier for me that I liked it.
That's cool. Yeah, one of several friend checkpoints I have to pass with all my friends now. Be like, cool. Are we still friends?
Yeah. Did you like my thing?
Yeah.
But yeah, like I do think the trailers for this game gave me a different impression of what it would be.
Ooh. Okay. Yeah, because like trailers are the worst.
Yeah.
But we didn't really try to explain it up front, right? Because the first trailer wasn't a trailer; it was a band performance that we did at the
Right.
Game Awards
Yeah.
2 years ago.
Yeah.
And that was intentional. It was like
Yeah,
we're
which is
trying to be
cool.
super clear that it's two things, and that's why when I introduce it, I'm like, it's a band.
Yeah.
End of sentence. And it's a game about them because
Hmm.
because one of the things we wanted to do from the beginning, because we were operating in pop music, like a lot of the people we work with, including Omni on the score, but like also on the OFK songs, are like from pop music pipeline, the pop music
Yeah,
industry.
yeah,
So
yeah.
like we're making like we're making music that's meant to continue. This is a band that's
Right.
meant to make
Yeah.
more music and operate, as
I got
opposed
that
to
impression for sure.
a lot of things that people might be familiar with, like Sayonara Wild Hearts,
Right.
which is also called like an EP, but there is no artist name, there's no fictionalized artist name. There's no band that has gone on to do more music as far as I know, or like whatever. So we wanted to be clear about that.
Yeah.
But then after that, so I'm really curious what you thought, because then we started doing trailers that are a little bit more like, okay, we're going to talk about the story and we introduce the characters, and like we're going to start playing some Omni's music too. And like, what did you think?
My misperception was more about tone, I
Mm-hmm.
think. Like my misperception was more about like target audience maybe.
Mm.
Like I was like from the trailers I was like this looks like it's going to be a really cool game that maybe I'll be too old for or something. Like
Oh.
that maybe it's like hella Gen Z or something. But like playing it it didn't feel that way at all. It felt accessible for maybe not boomers, but like, you know,
What's
it felt
accessible
like,
for boomers?
I don't know. Well, actually, my girlfriend's mom loved it, so I don't know.
Okay.
She was like, I love what they're talking about. They're talking about such real things, like serious things. And we both really loved. One of my favorite moments was a conversation between two characters. It's after what I can talk about.
Okay.
But there's a food analogy that we
Yes.
both really loved.
Yes.
Yeah, and we both really loved that. And yeah, man, it's just like good. It was like well written. The characters are really sweet. I found myself pulled in really immediately. It's also like more slice of life than I expected and more slow burn than I expected. I'm very curious to see the numbers on like who comes back after episode 2 to 3. Like I hope they stick with it because 3 and 4 and 5 are my favorites.
Yeah. Me too.
That's good.
Yeah.
What's your favorite?
That's hard. I don't.
Pick. Choose.
As a player or
Rank
as like the person who like put work into them. Because there's like a very fun episode for me that it's not my favorite episode. You know what episode it is?
4?
Yeah, it's 4.
Yeah.
4 is like
3 and 4 are my favorite.
4 is sick.
4 is amazing.
4 is sick, but it's
Like
hard because
narratively, 4 was super cool. I don't know. We can't talk about it, which is a bummer.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'll say like we are like the way we're doing it is like people just buy it like it's a game for whatever. Like
That's what I was gonna ask. It's
Yeah.
like they get the whole thing, right?
yeah, so
Okay,
like
yeah.
I don't think this has been done a lot.
Yeah.
I was gonna say ever, but whatever. Who cares?
Maybe one of the Life is Stranges did it.
Did they? Yeah.
I can't. They changed their model like every time, so I can't remember exactly if they ever did one where it's like you got the whole thing, but it's weekly.
Yeah, so viewer, so you buy it one time like it's a game. So you pay like if you're in the US it's $20. But there's a launch discount, so buy it the first week. And then
That's
you just
that's the right price, I think.
cool. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
And then you just get new episodes every week. So
Yeah.
we're launching the first 2 this coming Thursday, and then episode every
Yeah.
Thursday. So
Okay,
I agree. I'm hoping. I mean, like, so I'm hoping it's like, well, everyone's already paid for it, so you might as well
Right,
keep going.
yeah.
And also, like, I do think episode 1 is like does a little bit of labor. Like episode 1 is like you got to introduce. First episodes are hard, man. And also
Yeah.
Especially with the conceit of, I don't know if I can say this, but like the way it's structured, how each episode's focused. Who has to go first is always kind of a like
Yeah.
interesting question, and like which
Like the
character
focal
goes
character?
first? Yeah, like who's the point of view character for this chapter? You know,
Yeah.
Could they also have to introduce everything? You know,
Yeah, I think it's funny how that goes because I do think, regardless, like I think that by the end of episode 2, people kind of start to get it because there's some
yeah.
stuff in 2.
Yeah.
1 is like a lot of setup
Yeah.
and wraps up really nicely, and then 2 like starts to get into meat, and you're like, oh, interesting. And then, for me, I'm like 3 is the one where I'm like when you told me you were about to play 3, I was like, oh, I'm so excited you're about to play 3 because I think 3 is
really
3 and 4 where it like you're like, whoa,
Yeah.
it turns, and I'm
3 and 4 like it's the heart of it. Yeah. It's where you fall in love with it. Like you're really into it 1 and 2, and then 3 and 4 you're like, oh, okay, yeah.
I hope so. Yeah,
I hope so.
But that tone thing is really interesting because like that has been my concern for a while. Is like I don't want people to think it's twee,
Right.
or like, but also
Which like some of the trailers made me think. Yeah.
No, and I think we did that. That's also because we were using the first song from the band, and the first song is the first pop single, and so it's dancey and it's up energy.
Follow Unfollow?
Follow Unfollow
Okay.
is the only one that's actually out right now.
Oh, yeah,
People
I
were
was going to
even
ask you
asking-
that if you put it out like one would do a band, I guess, put out a single first. Sorry, what were you going to say?
Oh, I was just gonna say, people were even asking, like me personally, if it was a rhythm game, from like the early stuff that they were seeing from it, and I was like, oh, well, no, but I didn't know outside of like the actual description of it how to tell them what it was. So I was
Yeah.
like, definitely not that though.
Yeah.
So it's not meant to be like secretive, right? It's just meant to.
Yeah.
Again, it's just because we've come from this angle of like, cool, there's this band, we have this song, and we're putting out other songs.
Yeah.
And it's almost more important to me that like people hear, whether they hear Omni's music when we release the score or OFK's band songs, that like they can come to the game. And it's like you're playing this because you want to know about them.
It's like cool. So you're seeing it as more like a cool support for the band rather than
In a funny way.
the band as an offshoot of the game.
The game will have a bigger impact because like
Right.
making a splash in music is impossible.
Yeah,
But like
yeah.
But yeah, like it was trying to solve the KDA problem of
Yeah.
KDA makes some cool music and then
Popstar's
people
a
hear it.
jam.
It is a jam, but then like what is the Venn diagram of people who then are going to go and enjoy playing League of Legends?
0. My girlfriend and I listen to KDA regularly in the car,
Wow.
and I do not like League of Legends.
Yeah, and KDA and like it's a
It's a
fascinating
lot.
project and it's an achievement or whatever. Like, in its
I
own right.
went to because
But-
I have friends that work at Riot, which all that stuff was very fun. I assume that's the analog, but I don't know. But so I was at the live event, whatever they call it, the international. No, that's Dota. Worlds, where they did the KDA like
Oh, man.
hologram thing. I was there.
That was
it was sick.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know what's going on with this with this game, but I was
Yeah.
like, that was cool as hell. The holograms, dude. Yeah. Anyway,
But that's the thing is like
this is my interview style, by the way. It's just random nonsense, and
No, this is
I
chill.
talk over people most of the time.
I actually kind of liked this about Hyperlight. I don't want to talk about Hyperlight Drifter too much.
What's that? I've never heard of it.
It's a video game. It's something I worked on in the past.
I liked the little reference in the.
Oh, thanks.
I think that
Yeah.
was in the early episode.
Yeah, it's in the first episode.
Okay.
Like
I suppose you would know.
I would. Yeah, I was. I was saying to someone like you sent me a couple like photos of you playing, and I was like, Isla's playing, and she has introduced to me that my new superpower is like if someone sends me a screenshot from the game, like I can quote what's happening.
Yeah,
at that
you could be like,
exact
oh,
moment.
it's this part.
Yeah. But fuck.
I was sending them like really salacious pictures with the game in the background. You know.
Yeah.
That's what. Oh wait, I'm
But-
not allowed to make sex jokes anymore.
Are we not?
I'm not.
Anymore.
You guys
Oh,
can.
okay.
Sweet.
Well, I'll save them.
You seem
Yeah.
like a real raunchy person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I put
You're
off
really,
that energy, huh?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's the button up. It's the button up. It gets a lot
Yeah.
of
What's
people.
underneath?
It's the shirt for sure.
Yeah.
It's buttoned all the way up.
Yeah.
I could tell you're a freak.
I used to do the relaxed thing, but like, you know,
yeah.
we'll see how far the interview goes. I might
It's
like,
getting
let a
warm in
couple
here,
about-
I feel like. Yeah. What were we talking about?
Oh, okay. I was thinking that like
You said hyperlight.
Hyperlight.
Oh, right.
There was a thing that was fun about. So with Hyperlight, we had a Kickstarter, right? And then we made the thing
Yeah.
for like 3 years after that. And like there was this relief in the fact that people liked that. They thought they liked that game from what they'd seen of it. Mostly because like the vibe. Like yeah, they knew it was gonna be like an action RPG or a Zelda type thing.
Hyperlight, yeah, like goes 80% on vibe. It's like
Yeah, like-
super good vibes. The game.
And it is. You can kind of expect what you're gonna get, but there's nothing in the Kickstarter that's like, oh, this is the gimmick game mechanic that this is all about.
Right.
Like there was no specific promises about gameplay that we had
Yeah.
to live up to. OFK is like even further, where it's like it really doesn't matter what type of game it is. Like it's not rhythm, it's story. We've said it's like pretty
Yeah,
story
yeah,
focused, and so every once in a while, someone on like a YouTube comment will be like, "What is this? Like I'm so angry that I don't know," and I'm like,
People love to
You
get
don't have
angry.
to know.
Yeah,
you don't
that's
have to
hard.
know everything, and like come check it out, and like.
People don't like uncertainty.
I get that.
But that's okay. Like the first swath of people will play it and be like, and then you just get it. You're like, oh,
Yeah.
I see what this is. And
The people who I think will really get it, because I was like texting them during the while I was playing it that I was just like, this game makes me so stressed out. I'm like stressing out. I am freaking out because like I've been at this party. I've like tried to talk to someone who's 8 times more famous than I am about like my thing. And it's just like, so like LA artists trying to exist will definitely get this game. Especially queer LA artists. Because it's just like, it nails that whole vibe like perfectly.
I definitely, like, we were even like messaging back and forth while like making the game, and I was like, I keep having like just panic attacks, like scoring some of these scenes because I'm listening to the dialogue over that, and you like over relate, like you like hyper relate to these characters. You're just like, ugh. I'm angry now.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm like sitting at a keyboard, like trying to score it, and I'm like, maybe I should like take a nap or go like eat some fruit or something for a second.
My hand is cramping up.
Yeah,
Eat some fruit.
Yeah, I'm like, this is a lot, and so
I need to eat more fruit.
I like that though. I like that.
No, yeah. I
know.
say this as a compliment for the game that it's a very effective story because of this. Yeah,
it has the ability to do that.
Yeah,
there's different. I think in playing any type of game, I like. It's a weird thing to say, but I like being frustrated in like the right ways in a game when I'm playing through something. Like that's always fun. It's like an obstacle to overcome. But there's something very specific about like those frustrating moments in OFK because I can't necessarily relate to a lot of the frustrations that happen in like Elden Ring when I'm playing Elden Ring. It's frustrating and I love it.
You've never unseated a god?
I've never done it. Not yet anyway. I don't know if it's just an LA thing where it's
We're
like...
millennials. We have to kill God. That's our job.
That is the ultimate goal. But like
we have
these
to
were
attack
like
and dethrone God.
super relatable in like really good ways and then like also some like more painful ways. And yeah, that's like a really unique thing that gaming can do now.
Do you feel like it's well, I guess you can't really have this feeling. I was going to ask you if you feel like our game is cathartic, like if it comes out of it, or if you just leave being like, I guess it's a question for you. Like,
it does, I think, yeah. I can't
can't
discuss it, but I enjoyed the game.
That's fair.
It's wild. It is wild. Yeah, it's frustrating and like even because we were so remote, you know, while making the game that.
Oh yeah, were you not? I suppose you weren't able to be together by and large.
Yeah, together all the
Mostly,
time.
yeah.
And then like being able to like recently, like this year, meet. I think that was this year, maybe last year was the first time I got to meet like voices of some of the characters.
Oh yeah.
And it's like hard because I've been listening to these voices for hours and hours and hours on loop, like scoring this stuff. And like sometimes you develop very visceral reactions to people's voices. And so like a human being coming up and saying words to you, you're like, oh, that's right, that wasn't real. Like I've never met this person. I'm having like reactions to a fake thing.
As a video editor, I've had that a lot too, where it's like I've spent thousands of hours with you and you've never met me. That's weird.
Yo, okay, so you know what's really so like I had a picnic or something recently and Omni met Fiona who plays Jay for the first time and I was like and I knew that. I was like, I knew you'd spend so time with the voice of Jay, with Fiona's voice, and like and Fiona Renee is like you can see why she's Jay, but they're different, right?
Yeah.
And like and we were talking in the car on the way over about trying to understand like trying to connect with people who are playing the thing that you made.
Yeah.
And especially like when your life revolves so much around the making this stuff, and you can get kind of like separated from the idea of understanding what it feels like to be a fan of something and to spend so much time with something. And I'm just realizing that that's kind of our version of it, or that's a way to find a connection with people's relationship with our game, is to be like, oh, that's our relationship with the voices of the project.
Because I've only met, and I still haven't met all of them,
Oh yeah.
And so I have heard these, and it's not like I did a one, any of us did like a one playthrough of the game. It's like I've heard it all in order, out of order so many times,
right?
That like knowing these characters and the choices they're going to make are getting like super hyper fixated on their dispositions. And then hearing that voice come out of like a human's face and going like, oh no, like I shouldn't have the like amount of feelings I do right now. This is weird.
Yeah. There have definitely been like actors where I've edited like very intimate scenes of them, and then I've been like, I know too much. Like I'm meeting you now and I know far too much.
Yeah.
I have 2 branching paths I want to discuss now.
Cool.
And I'm going to say them both out loud so we can remember to get back to them. One's for you and one's for you. I want to talk about the characters, and I want to talk about your process for scoring the game.
Okay.
You are still looking at me, so you go first.
Oh, is that how it was going to work? I didn't know that those were the rules. I was just trying to be polite. I wasn't ready.
I know how to dodge a conversation.
Oh, man. The process for scoring it. Oh, I guess, no, that's a cool question because it changed.
Thanks.
I
asked an interview question.
Woo! It changed like a few times throughout because we had really early meetings before there was, dialogue or even finished episodes. It was like super early, rough stuff.
Sure.
And so I make kind of a variety of different, I have like a sound, but I make, I'm a little bit versatile. So I would go and make something and then bring it back to the table, like literally a table. We would like meet around Teddy's table, and I would present these like ideas, like composition ideas that I had. And, some wouldn't work, some would work, or we would go more in one direction. But it was kind of like shooting in the dark for a while, trying to nail the tone. And then as more stuff came together, like voice acting or some of the early concept art and like backgrounds and stuff like that, I was like, okay, well, I think I understand what the tone of this scene is or what this character, because there's character themes.
Yeah,
and I was I totally understand this character a lot more now that I can see them and hear them. And so sometimes that would mean completely remaking a theme or getting all the way down, because we were scoring it in order. We were doing it like in episode order. And sometimes you would get down to something that's really thick and dense, like episode 4. And then being like, you know what, this would be so much cooler if I teased this earlier.
Yeah.
And so like returning to episode 1, which was cool that we got to make it all, instead of like releasing an episode and then like completely
you get to go back and add a motif or something. Yeah, that's really cool.
And so that was a lot of fun. But I think the eventual like process that prevailed was all of the VO being done, like all of the voice acting was finished, and then it was cut together and edited, and then Teddy and Akash would send me sound. Like that was like, here is the scene. Like this is the entire scene. You can't see it yet, but you can hear it. And so what does this sound like to you? And so
like they would put in sound effects and ambient stuff? Okay.
And so I would have my headphones on and I was just sitting in my room. I have like a little station with all these keyboards.
Yeah.
And I would just get to work that way. And it worked out that way because it's based in LA, so it was also nice being able to go out and kind of like be in the city a little bit, because there are some locations in the game that are just straight up locations in Los Angeles that you can like go to, and I'm just like, okay, I can get a vibe for what this feels like. And some of the, since I do the score, I'm doing like character themes, but I'm also doing like incidental music that's just in episodes, and those are a little bit more fun and detached because it's like a song that plays on the radio or like the audio that comes out of some
some of that stuff, like the places where you guys play around. Yeah, it's fun.
And those were like super fun because it was like, okay, I get to like get out and like just have a bunch of fun and have a wild time.
For sure.
But then there were some more darker, like heavier moments where I was like, okay, I need to think about how this is going to feel for the people that are watching it and playing it.
Yeah.
Instead of just me sitting in my room with my headphones. Because we did like really early, like Teddy came over and we were watching anime and like watching Cowboy Bebop and stuff like that. Like, how does this work? Like, how does the scoring, like, how is this informed? And that's
a very musical show.
It's super musical.
Good inspiration.
Which was like amazing because we went in going like, oh, it's so musical. This is going to be wild, because I am so piano happy that I was like, I just want to like play a bunch of stuff and then we can cut it up and call it a day. And we were watching Cowboy Bebop and so much of it is silent.
Yeah.
Which I don't remember as a kid. I remember it being so jazzy and like sporadic, but it's like there's a lot of silence. And maybe one of the most, I guess, surprising challenges in scoring the game was picking the parts that didn't need score.
When not to, yeah.
It was like, you can have a lot of music. And sometimes like emotional things hit a little bit heavier if there isn't, somebody clanging on the piano in the background. And even once we got to the end, there was times where there was full on completed songs where we're just looking at, we're like, actually, like, I know this song is done and it was a lot of work, but it just doesn't, there's too much. Now that we're looking at it all together, maybe this fits better if we take this away. maybe it fits better if there's just silence here, or if it's like a little bit more downplayed, you know?
Kill your babies.
Yeah. Well, because when I'm not seeing anything, you know, I'm just going off of dialogue.
Right, yeah.
I'm trying to go so hard on music. Where
you
I'm just,
feel like you have to fill that. Yeah.
I'm like, it's sad. I got to tell people how to feel, you know, because I don't see any characters. But you remember, like, as people are playing it, they're playing things in order. They get to know the characters. They're seeing things. There's other ways to inform mood than just a minor
That's such a
chord or
powerful
something.
realization too. Like whenever you see something like the Dark Tower movie, which was just bad up, down, and forward.
I'm sorry.
But the music was like telling you how to feel the whole time, and it was Junkie XL, I think, which is like the guy who did
wild because
Fury Road,
he's
and I'm just
amazing.
like, what the fuck? Like you turned in one of the best and one of the worst, I guess. Like okay, was there an interplay between? Because this is a game about a band and a game that has songs in it from an EP from that band, right? And like, I guess now that I just played it over the course of the last 2 days, so like I guess maybe I don't remember exactly, but were you taking motifs from the songs and putting them into the score, or were you intentionally not doing that? Because I felt like it fit with the music without trying to sound like the band.
Yeah.
Which I think was good. Like it made the reality feel like the reality and the band feel like the product that the band is making, which I liked.
Yes. I'm glad you brought that up because like early on when I was just in, and I think we all were just in like brainstorming Dream World, we were like, wouldn't it be cool if like you teased these songs like every time there was like you were getting around the area where there was going to be a song and it like wove into the score of the game. And there's so many really big like grand ideas like that are so cool on paper. And even me, like I was going so high like concept, which like there's a couple of times where I need to be like reined in a little bit where I was like for the character themes, like what if this character's themes have like flutes in it and that's their thing, they're like the woodwind person, and then this person's gonna have, and I was trying to do all of that. And then when being reined in a little bit and going like, okay, that's a lot. What if it's just like do what you would do? Like during the scoring process, a lot of the time, Teddy was like, just like play piano, like make this like an Omni song, like feel it out. Don't try to go like John Williams and like E.T. where you're just trying to build the biggest like orchestral movement for every emotional thing. And so for eventually the comfort was in that like these are the songs of the band. And this is the score, and they don't necessarily have to be. They don't have to be exactly the same. Or
they're complementary.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's like one of those things where I think when everybody's working in their corner, like the band's over here, I'm over here, though like Akasha's over here doing like sound effects and like sound design. We have the voice actors. We have all these artists and stuff. Everybody, I think, is kind of trying to look over each other's shoulders, going like, how do I tie this into your thing? And I think one of the things we didn't take for granted was that when somebody's experiencing it all together, you kind of draw a lot of those lines yourself. You're like, this fits. Like I made a lot of those themes without seeing like the really amazing like colors and art early on. But I think they're so complementary because you're consuming them all at the same time, and it's like it kind of sets the palette where it's like this is what's to be expected when you're playing this game, and then you kind of draw a lot of those connections.
That makes sense because like I think what you ended up with, not the John Williams thing, this maximal thing. Because I think that would have been too big and too much. I think that it fits the tone and the kind of like slice of life vibe so well. I really liked it. Okay, you go now.
I don't have to go. But no, what's interesting is like I feel like your process ended up, at least from my perspective, being similar to Claire and my process. Claire Gia, who's the co-writer of the story and the script, like our process, where it was a lot of like aiming before going. It was a lot of like, what is this going to be and which way are we going to go with this? And so in like the writing process, it was a lot of like, which we'll get into, like character development and stuff before anything else. And similarly, like I remember having like an early conversation with you at Glitch City, like way before pandemic.
Oh my God, yeah.
Where like we start, and I had done like, I've got like a playlist of songs, and like it's funny because like,
oh yeah, wow, I forgot about that.
Yeah, and I only knew like your work through the stuff you put out as omniboi.
Yeah,
and so like I didn't realize how versatile you were, and so we got into that meeting and like, or you started to maybe like play around with stuff or whatever, and I was like, oh wait, whoa, this is like, and so like slowly I was like, wait, I think, like you were saying, like this should be an like an omniboi sound, and like this, the score is technically I think being released as an omniboi. I think it's on your Spotify page, like it's an omniboi thing, right? And then like paring it down to like, well, what, and then I mean it's like. It's definitely simpler than a lot of what you put out in your music. Like there are elements of like, for example, like you do a lot of stuff with vocal chop that we're like, oh, there's not gonna be space for something like this.
Oh yeah. Oh my God, that's another thing. Yeah, I should have said that. I don't think about people having to talk and you have to listen to them.
Right.
So I'm doing so much stuff with like melodies, and then I'm hearing it back with the voiceover, and I'm like, oh my God. Nobody can focus on like hearing people talk.
As an editor, you learn that real fast where it's like, oh, okay, that song has vocals in it and it muddies up everything.
Yeah.
It's like you cannot focus on two things at the same time as a viewer.
But I do think because of the amount of time we spent talking about instrumentation and sound and going through the story together, like by the time we were actually, because like, so we read the whole scripts together, then we went through all the audio on a call. That was during lockdown. Like, where I'm like pressing play on audio files and sending, whatever over Zoom, and we're listening together. I know, dark times.
Yeah,
fucking Zoom.
And then we did all of that again with your score. So we would like, you would underscore a scene and we listened to it. And by the time we got to that point, like I know there was a lot of work for you in terms of wanting to like put bookmarks in places and come back to them because we were going linearly, and you're like, I think I'm going to want to call back to a theme I haven't developed yet.
Yeah.
But like, I feel like once we started listening together, like for me, I was like, yeah, because you like at that point, like you got those characters so well because you spent so much time with them, and that's something as like a director in a game, like you always want, and you don't get a lot of the time from collaborators who don't have the time.
Yeah, because
most collaborators don't have the time that I have, for example, to sit with the story because they've got other shit to do.
Yeah, it's like this is your thing.
Yeah.
So you're gonna do your thing, but other people you have to just get them as catch can.
But because it was so part of your process, you kind of got to a place where it's like cool. Like there was a lot. Like everything you just talked about is really true. But
it was a lot of work, but we hit a vibe kind of eventually. And I think one of my biggest fears early on is I was trying to figure it out. Before having to make a lot of stuff, you know, where you're just like, I don't want to make a mistake, so let me figure out what I'm supposed to do so I could just do the thing right. But I think the liberating thing was like making a thing. Like I have a very vivid, and I can't really talk about it because it is like a later episode thing, but like there is a very specific musical thing that happens, and
is it this thing?
Yes.
Yeah.
And
was that you?
You're talking about Itsumi's thing?
Yeah. Oh no!
Oh, okay, we should mention that.
No, we should.
We should talk about it without talking about it because we can't talk about it.
But there's a thing that happens, and I'm like, I'm working on music for it, and it's so easy to just like get it completely wrong, right? Just of us like talking over a table, being like, I want the vibe to be kind of like this, and I'm like, okay, and I go and I make a whole thing and I present it, and it's like, oh, this is not it, and I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Now I know what it isn't, which is like so important when working.
That's what I was gonna say. Is like the mistake is the thing you have to do.
Yeah. And there's two characters. This is such a weird conversation because it's like
that's what this show is for.
But there's two characters that have their own themes, their own musical things. But they also have like a theme for the two of them.
Okay, yeah.
That, their relationship is so complicated that I was trying to do that John Williams singer. I was like, how do I fit all of that into it? How do I fit all of what they are into, like 50 seconds of
Anakin and Obi-Wan are fighting now. We have to join their themes together.
And like do callbacks and like an overture thing. I'm trying to do that. And then again, I was like, if I dial it back and I just do like Rhodes piano instead of all this stuff happening, people are going to see it and they're going to like project a little bit. And I never like plan for that. Like I always think about the band Coldplay and how the words.
Me too.
Who doesn't? And it's like the Coldplay are like Green Day. These words mean absolutely nothing. But from all of the time I've spent with these sounds, if somebody says, Green Day, I have like a very visceral reaction.
Yeah. Vomiting.
Keep going.
Yeah, and so it's like I have this thing from like a color and like a noun. And so I think about that in terms of the game where I'm like, people are going to be seeing and hearing and experiencing so much that they're going to have very whatever reactions to the music I make. So instead of trying to do so much heavy lifting with the music, I should just play in that space and do something that's complimentary, but not like laboriously like taking over all of the mood.
Well, and that's like our job, and the success as an artist is to give the audience enough so that they fill in the gaps with the thing that means something to them.
I never think about that though.
You know?
I've never thought about that. Until,
but you've succeeded in doing it. So
yeah,
it's a good job.
But yeah, that's such a, and you do it every day. You do it all the time.
Yeah.
But I guess I just never trust anybody to get anything. I always feel like I have to over-explain every single thing. Yeah. And so yeah, that was a lot of fun in the process of like once I got the characters and the story and where it was going, it was really easy to fit like the music in. We did get to a point where like meetings were so fast where I was like, we would do the dialogue and like listen to the score under it. And it was just like, I got so used to hearing no notes or I was like, I would go in with like, you know, I feel like I'm carrying like a duffel bag of all these like dusty tracks that I kind of hate now at this point. I can see all the mistakes or whatever I'm like projecting onto them.
Yeah, for sure.
And then I'm playing them and they're like, no notes, this is good. This is great. Like, yeah, this works perfect. And I'm like, what? Like,
you're like, what?
It does?
This is garbage. What are you talking about?
Yeah, right. And so I was like, oh, crap. And then I got a little bit of a distance away from it. And, you know, a lot of people are going to be playing it soon. You've played through it already. And so it is really validating for you to play it and go like, yeah, this fits.
Yeah.
And so it's like, oh, good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, this is going to be on Saturday. So
we can talk about 1 and 2
episodes.
Yeah, we can talk about 1 and 2.
Saturday.
We can't talk about 3, 4, or 5.
Okay, cool. So yeah, the people listening to this will have played it. And so, yeah, in those episodes even even in the earliest moments, like some of those themes were like, they took a while.
Yeah.
They took a while to like get and come back to. And I think because I don't score a lot, I mostly do, I have my music. I just make songs, which are pretty one-dimensional in that you listen to it. You know? You listen to it and you get it. And you put a lot of work into layers and instrumentation and all this stuff to make it really complicated. But in a game where the score can be so sparse, or like in a movie where the score can literally be like 4 notes played like with silence in between. Yeah. It's so hard as a musician to like listen to that and go like, yeah, that's done.
Be like, yeah, that's good enough. This took me 15 seconds to write.
Yeah, it feels,
and it's good enough.
It feels weird.
I feel like that's part of what, I mean, I feel like I'm supposed to help with that, right? Like, cause that's part of my job is like to be like, so like we listen through all the music and it's basically Omni and me and Michaela Foote, who's our producer and also the band manager, like sitting and listening through all this stuff. And like, and Michaela and I like built the whole team from the ground up. And like every time we bring someone in, it's like, it's that feeling of like knowing that these pieces are going to go together and knowing that they're going to add to each other and change each other, and sometimes in an intentional way and sometimes not, right? Like
that's the best part.
Yeah, and there's some things where like this, for me, there's some things where I want it to be filled in, right? Like in terms of dialogue writing, where I'm like, okay, this is just going to work. Like we're going to see a painting that Jenny's going to paint, and there's going to be some music under it, and something's going to happen in this moment, and it's going to feel kind of like this, but we don't know. We're just going to leave space for that. Yeah. And it's like fill in the blank. And then there's other times where I have a very specific idea, and then it becomes that, or it changes. Like Yuri, who plays Vincent Mode, who I guess people who have played 1 and 2 haven't met yet, but they've heard about Vincent Mode. Yeah. Like that was one of those performances. I was like, it took us a long time to get to the voice in the booth, and then we came up with a good reference. Michaela came up with a good reference, and then it just sailed, and I was like, oh man, that is not what I was expecting. and I hate him now.
Yeah, effective character. I don't know how much we could say, but fuck. Yeah. Well, that's a good segue into the characters and stuff. And the first thing I wanted to say was, because I know you, we've been friends for a few years, and like I don't know, like 9 to 8 years.
Our whole adult lives,
Yeah,
3
like
years,
300 years. And I knew you were making this game and that you were playing a character in it, and I was just wondering, like, because I've played characters in things that I've made too, and it's always such a fine line of like, how do you do something that doesn't make it seem like, I guess, how do I phrase this as a question? Did you find it difficult to, how autobiographical is it? How show-offy is it without feeling show-offy? I was actually quite surprised at how like flawed the characters all were. I really liked that about them. And like even things that I was like feeling annoyed by about a character, someone in game would later be like, like, you're kind of a flake, dude. Like, what's the deal? Like, you know, and I'd be like, oh, sick. Okay. So that's on purpose.
Yeah.
Like, that's great.
Yeah.
And like, that's good writing. And it's just, it was really refreshing, I guess, because it could have so easily become like, I don't know, the fear, not with you specifically, but with like anyone who's doing like the writer director thing, is that it's like some kind of vanity project. But it wasn't. It didn't seem like it. I don't know.
No, it wasn't. I was just going to shit talk someone who I don't like. But...
Do it later.
Okay. We'll do it at the very end, and then we can decide if it stays in.
Oh, I don't want to edit this at all. So
Okay. No,
raw dogging it, baby.
great.
It's called Easy Update because the show is easy to make.
What was the question? Okay, so
Oh shit!
Sorry.
Woo!
I'll get some more.
what's the question? So
I don't know what the question is.
okay. Yeah,
Good
like
job, I guess.
no, there was a thing.
How
okay.
characters?
How characters?
Why not vanity project?
I think okay. So I think like I think there were like two big transformative moments to me, right? Like I have a really hard time doing anything without thinking about it for too much for a long time. So like I don't think I wrote
That
any
shows in the character.
Yeah. I don't think I wrote any dialogue for like a year.
Wow,
And it was
okay.
maybe some like funny lines or ideas for moments or like some quote or something. It's definitely some like Vincent Mode stuff. But like it was mostly character development. It's like who are they and what's their role and how are they going to play off? Like I was doing structure before anything else. Like whose
Yeah,
episode is whose and
Yeah,
how's it
yeah.
going to like, what's the shape of this moldy thing? Not moldy thing.
Which
This
is important.
Moldy game. But there was a point for me
Resident
where
Evil
like
7.
I was struggling with like drama. Because one thing that's like, this isn't really a spoiler to say, is that like although there are characters you don't like, there's not a villain. Like the villain,
Yeah.
this is the story is about like just
Villain's the industry, man. It's life.
Sure, I mean capitalism is a
growing
villain,
up.
but like yeah, it's the things the challenges that people face in working with each other,
Yeah.
like internally and between each other, and like.
Yeah.
Oftentimes, that's not like one person doing the wrong thing. That's just people making choices that conflict with each other.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
But still, like I was having trouble finding the drama or like the conflict. And there was a thing like there was a point at which I went to every character sheet I had and I was like, I think that each of these characters needs, or what I chose to do, and it's not autobiographical. None of the game is.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff that's informed by like things that have
Yeah,
happened to me or
yeah.
people I've known, but most characters started as an amalgamation of like 3 people I know who kind of remind me of each other. And I'm like, okay, I can work
sure.
off of this as an
Yeah,
archetype.
yeah,
And then
yeah.
they become their own person. But like, was taking every one of the leads at least and being like, if I can't be honest enough to put something that I like, am really ashamed of about myself in each one of them as like a little poison pill kind of like, then it's not, there's no bravery in this. It's just like, oh, I like these characters and they're cool and they're having a nice time.
Yeah.
And so like
I like that.
each of them has this like, and like, I don't want to say what they are, but like each of them has at least one thing where I'm like, I'm working.
I want you to say what they are. No,
And maybe someday, but like, I'm gonna David Lynch it for a while, but like, yeah, like what are they? What are they
that
fucking
works
up?
Totally, yeah.
And it's a great way to immediately find flaws and things that I'm critical of them because I'm already critical of those things in myself. But also, I mean, it's like it's not going to turn them into a villain because
Right.
I don't think I'm a villain.
I mean,
right?
that's what I loved about. I mean, Omni might disagree.
find out
you're a real
finding out
bastard,
you're a
Kevin.
villain like in the middle of the interview.
Yeah.
It's like,
No, you're a total bitch, and that's why we brought you here today.
I was like laughing because there are moments. There are moments where like some rough things are done or some like poor misinformed choices are made in the game. And maybe one of the thing that was most frustrating about them wasn't that I was just like, screw these people. It was like, oh, yeah, I do that. And I did that like a month ago.
There were a couple, exactly. There were a couple of moments where I was just like, damn it. Like, totally,
absolutely.
But damn it.
Yeah.
Like,
Also,
and that's what's so effective about this. I think you just said like one of my favorite things about this game and the story was like, it's a story about people fucking up and like trying to learn to face that and work on it. And like, I think that's so nice and good.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's just like how you're supposed to give your character an arc, right?
Yeah,
and they're supposed to have something they need to solve, right? Like,
but I mean, like in like more like a lifey kind of way.
Yeah. Well, I think that's what happened with the story is like it started as like literally just ripping sitcom structure because sitcoms are very formulaic, like upsetting. So when you start to read the scripts and study them, it's like really upsetting.
Oh yeah.
But it's like
and when you realize it's broken up, like the act structures are broken up by ad breaks.
Yes. And it's so efficient. It's impressive. Anyway, but like starting there and then it getting more human and a little bit darker, and also Claire coming in. And Claire, I don't know if I've ever told her this to her face, but like when Michaela and I were looking for like a co-writer, and I was reading like people's samples and stuff, Claire had like 2 pieces that like perfectly encapsulate at least what I needed help with on this. And it was she had some beautiful piece that was about like a relationship, and it was a long form piece of journalism, or not journalism, but it was published somewhere, and like about a breakup and what that was like, and it was very understanding Los Angeles and like being alone in a parking lot with someone who's like who's not loving you and you need them to, like just this really heartbreaking thing. And I was like, oh wow, okay, that's kind of like some of the subject matter here. And then also she had a piece in Reductress, and
I love Reductress,
and the piece was how to throw your head back and cackle like a witch when he asks you, can I come? And the body of there was no body. There was no article at all. It was
that's hard.
It was just 3 hashtags. There's 3 tags on the story, and the tags were throw your head back, cackle like a witch. No, of course you can't come.
Say no, yeah.
And I was like, cool, okay, I need someone like we're gonna connect on this like sad energy, and then also Claire is like very good at comfortable at being like that degree of like honest, and all that stuff that is like human is like it's just honest. Like it's not, if you can open up and be honest with yourself, like it's not hard to get to. You just kind of have to like chip away at like it's the same as like at like being in your process of being like, what am I supposed to do and what mistakes am I supposed to make?
Right,
and like yeah.
Awesome.
I love that. I love the characters. I think that and you say you put a little like, you know, a little of your flaws in each one. And I think that that's pretty universal. Or either that or I'm just like really like messed up in all the same ways or something. But like I think like playing the game, you look at the characters and they all like there's a bit of the character that I wish I was.
Yeah.
And then there's a bit of the character I wish I wasn't. Like in every single one of them.
I related in different ways to all 4 of the mains. Yeah. And I was just like, like I'd be like, oh man, this character is my favorite. And then the next scene would be like, no, I like them too. And then I'm just like, they're just a great like quartet of characters. I don't know.
Yeah.
There are times when the game tries to be very like, or they get really thoughtful. And there's some monologuing, not a lot, but there's some. And like, it's interesting.
It ain't Midnight Mass, but it gets some talking done.
But it's what I'm happy with, and I hope people like, is that like they'll give these monologues that are like life lessons, but like they're not life lessons that, at least for me, that I necessarily agree with.
Yeah.
Like no one's sitting down and being like, I've solved humanity and here's the answer, or even like saying, it's not even us saying like, here is us as a team having an opinion about the world and how it works. Right. It's that character with their particular window. Like, and this is how they've chosen to digest and deal with the world. And
it's like, I think it was honest about that age. Because it's like, yeah, that's a conclusion I drew at that age too. That was correct for that moment, but would be wrong now.
Sure.
Yeah.
You know, like, yeah.
I also think that for the characters, like, there is a lot of like Los Angeles and creative DNA, like in the characters, like when you're just like listening to them and you're looking at the stuff that they do, like I'll hyper relate because I'm just like, yeah, oh my God, this city is a lot sometimes. But then at the same time, I feel like because I'm not from here. Like there's a lot of the characters there's a lot of the characteristics that the characters have that I was like, oh, I took that here. Like I brought that to the city with me, and I like that. I like that even in the way that they interact a little bit, where it's like, I think that everybody, no matter where you live, is going to be able to play it and go like, yeah, it's just like that, I guess. Like,
that was actually something I'm wondering about, which leads into the next question I was going to ask. And I mean, we've been talking for like a damn hour, so we could stop whenever. But like, that was something I was wondering about. I was like, okay, fully LA people are going to get this because this is just what it is.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, how is someone in like wherever, middle of nowhere, like middle of whoever, gonna think of this, right? And it's like they'll have a way different experience probably, but I think they'll still have things that they can grab onto, and maybe they'll laugh at like the LA lifestyle and think it's like ridiculous and like unrealistic, even though this is fully what it's like.
Yeah.
I wonder. But that leads into my question is like, it's Tuesday right now. The game comes out in 2 days. How terrified are you?
I said this on the drive over. I was talking about this of like those feelings of like.
Are you excited? Are you afraid? Like, what are you feeling right now?
You want to go first?
You're already talking, so I don't have to go.
Oh, okay. I was feeling. I wouldn't say I'm terrified. I'm not terrified, but I do have that feeling that I think a lot of artists can relate to, or not even artists, any creative, anybody who's made anything ever, whether it's a sandwich or a movie. You like make a thing and you're looking at the thing and you are so overfamiliar with the process of having made it, and you've developed a level of intimacy with it. And now a lot of other people that don't necessarily have those same connections to it are going to now take part in it. And I think if I had to sum up or like round off all of the different emotions I have, I guess it's curiosity. I'm like super curious and excited because I know what like the game means to me and what all these characters mean to me, and something that's so that we kind of touched on a little bit earlier, like underestimating the players or the viewers or the consumers, like underestimating what connections they're going to draw, the things that they're going to understand. A thing that's really exciting to me is people seeing it, playing it, hearing it, and actually drawing conclusions or connections that I wouldn't even do, or like I don't see. And so that's really cool to me because like a lot of the like locations or the things that are said in it, because of the characters' jobs or their lives, are very informed by their, like there's things that the characters go through that I've never done, so I just can't really relate to that specific thing. But there's these maybe broader or hyper specific connections that I've made with it, and maybe just like a line of dialogue a character said where I'm like, I've said that exact thing word for word. And so I'm really excited to see what those things are for other people. Like maybe they pick up something that even we haven't gotten at having made it. That we're just like, I
love that though.
Yeah.
Like when you make something and you put it out there and you're like, well, very clearly, this is what this is about.
Yes.
And then someone else, for better or worse, is just like, what? You clearly are saying this. And it's like, sure.
Yeah. It's like, that's beautiful that like somebody's brain could do that.
Yeah.
And so, and I'm sure like if you asked that same question tomorrow at noon, my answer probably changes a little bit. Like this whole week, I've just been kind of like, like in the tumble dry of like really excited, super happy, feeling accomplished, then feeling horrible, and then feeling like scared. But I think ultimately curious and excited.
Teddy?
I feel, well, first of all, I would say like at Los Angeles, the topic of that, like I think it's just true of all fiction that like there's context you don't relate to, right?
Sure.
Like, you can watch a thing about war if you're into it. Or I was watching Superman yesterday for some reason, unfortunately.
What were you watching?
The Zack Snyder Superman movie.
Oh
Which
my
one?
God.
The Man of Steel.
Oh, okay.
That's great.
He's just so strong in that movie.
He is very strong. He did a lot of damage.
One would say, the insurance companies would say he is too strong.
Anyway, I digress. But like,
Yeah, you can watch Nope and like not be a ranch hand and be like, okay, horse is cool.
So it can be. I can like when you ask that question, I'm like, fuck, I hope not. But I think it can be misleading that the context is already naturalized and real, and in our case, literally the real world. To be like, yeah, there's things you can't. There's some verbs you can't relate to, but like Omni was saying, like everyone's made a sandwich, or like not everyone, but most people have made like a TikTok or an Instagram reel, and anyone who holds a camera up at this point understands that like you start to be critical of it, and you don't know if this is good, and like you start to like those feelings happen really quickly. So even though this is about like people who have the great privilege of being professional artists, in the sense of capitalism, like. It's very connected. I hope to. But I'm curious to see that.
My hope too with that, like with regard to like showing a reality, is like the queer stuff in this, which I thought was really nicely done and really well represented. And like this is something I was talking about with some friends, where it's like the things that you say and talk about with your queer friends and like in circles is so different than with other circles, like in gaming or whatever. It's like stuff that I say that's like totally normal to me with my friends, like reads offensive in a video.
Absolutely.
And like that to me is like normal talking, with my friends. And then on a video, if I say that, it's like, whoa, you can't like, that's like, even though it's just like mundane, like queer talk, like shit, And so like in this game, like there are characters saying like, oh, I'm so gay, like saying this about that. And it's like, yeah, that's fully normal, but I could see someone who has no experience with that being like, why are they talking about this all the time? And it's like, cause we fucking do. Like, that's what it's like. Like we just talk about it all the time. But like, it's like that with LA too, where it's just like, LA is so goddamn LA, and it just is. And if you're not here, it could maybe seem like a lot, but I think that this game represents it accurately enough that I hope, people it's a window.
Yeah, and at a certain point, like if you really sink into it, all those things just become an accent.
Exactly.
And like someone speaking in a different accent, you still know what they're saying.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, the queer accent, maybe.
The queer accent. The LA queer accent.
But the thing I'm actually thinking about, I think, just to answer your question before I shut up, about like being in this moment, is that like my headspace is in a different place because of the nature of this project, where like even though all this work has gone into the game or the interactive series, whatever you want to call it,
it's a runway too.
It's meant to introduce people to these people that we made collectively, and like the choices that Omni made and Nafisa Tung made, our co-art director, like and to build this band and to be like, we want you to meet them. And like one of the first times I started thinking about anything that was going to resemble this project was going to a Hatsune Miku concert, MikuCon in like 2017 or something, and being like, I love that people want to, will connect with something like Miku that is not real, and Miku wasn't even like, at least at that point, talking to the fans at all. There was no connection.
Right.
And I'm like, what does it look like to make something that's like closer and more human, both in terms of the size of the team, so that we have a more direct connection to the characters, not one-to-one, not autobiographical, but it's more human than something at a massive scale of a KDA or something, or Miku. And also like someone that's less famous, and like so that has always been the hope, is like I want to tell a story that people can connect with, but once they've connected with it, like just have a closer access of being able to comprehend it. Because like I can connect and fall in love, maybe literally, with Hatsune Miku, but like we're not gonna understand.
We've all been there.
Yeah, she's not gonna understand me. I'm not gonna understand her.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking about like how
she's beyond us.
What people are gonna think of the band and the characters, and how those characters are gonna strike them. Because like my headspace is in a place where I'm already working out how the band is doing live shows and how they're going to like appear in places, and the end of the game coincides with present day.
Right.
That's not a spoiler to say that it's like it is meant to. Yeah. Like the landing strip happens with us together. So now once you finish the game, here you are in 2022, and it's like time to.
It's now.
Go say hi on Twitter or whatever.
Yeah.
So.
Which is cool, because I love that we live in a time where this is a thing, where it's like stuff like this can happen, where it's like. Yeah, you can tweet at this band.
Yeah.
That's rad. Like, and they'll respond and stuff. Like, that's so cool. And I like how in the game, like, it's real places, you reference real people. I liked that. And it helps seed it in the reality that you want it to be. Yeah.
We might get sued by Balenciaga, but I hope we do.
There was also like talk early on too of like how secretive it was supposed to be, and I think I'm way more comfortable and like happy with like the current approach where it's like it isn't this kind of like shadow corp of like people know who made the game and people know like who's behind it and like who's running things.
You're not
like,
trying to be like Gorillas where it's like no one knows this and that or whatever. Or whoever.
And I'm really like grateful to the people I've had conversations with about that along the way. Omni and Michaela and Naf and Luna and Tom, the songwriters, about that problem. Because we did start as like, this is going to be a secret and this is going to be a puppet master scenario.
Right.
And that's part of the brilliance of this thing is it's going to be that.
So like you would have made the game and not had your names on it, basically?
Well, that's what we had to figure out then.
Right.
It's like, or can we delay that or something like so that there's this period of people getting, and
put it out as an ARG at first or some weird thing.
And what happened is like we built the team and everyone started working and we started to understand what mattered to us in terms of like how we treat each other and how we're working together, right? Very, for lack of a better word, meta of like we're making this game about people making things while we're making something and we want to treat each other right. And like that attempt at being that secretive started to cause harm, which was very at odds with the way we're trying to do things. And so like us figuring out together a way to be like, okay, we exist and they exist. Like this is a band and we are a bunch of people making a story about that band.
Right.
And we know them and they're our friends. Like there's a little bit of places where it doesn't like work, but who fucking cares?
Right.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be like airtight.
Yeah. Like,
I don't know. I as a participant am like way more comfortable with that way where it's like everybody knows. It's like, when you're reading a book or something like that, like who the author is, like there's a sense of like they created these things and these people, like no one's necessarily
but you can still forget and be like, oh, Itsu and Jay feel like real people to me. Like, fully.
And so I definitely like it. I like it that way.
Yeah, it is meant to, like, the thing that I want to see how we manage to do this is to keep a genuine connection to the characters because, like, when you're making a game for 4 years or whatever, like you have time. I had time to check with members of the team about script and about like other stuff and be like, do you feel like this represents?
How are you gonna fire off a tweet as? Yeah.
Well, yeah, but also just like are we representing our beliefs in here? Okay. Is there anything that's making anyone uncomfortable? Right. And like operating this project and this band existing live is going to be a totally different experience of trying to stay true to that, of trying to stay true to like what the show has become of like, oh, it's fun and upbeat, but also there's some honesty to it and some realness. And like, I'm just interested to see those come together and find a way to ethically create parasocial relationships with it. Like to have people hopefully love the story and the band and parts of our team in a way like that respects their privacy. But to do that in a way that is like these characters that are created still kind of represent a collective opinion about the world or things and like how the band's going to express their politics and how we're going to continue to treat each other, et cetera, et cetera. So
I love the project of creating entities that have parasocial relationships with people that are themselves fictional.
Yes.
Like, that's neat.
It's
that's
definitely
a neat project.
It's a thing.
Yeah, that's a thing. Well, oh yeah, one other thing I wanted to say was, because I hadn't heard any of the music besides the stuff at like in the trailers or at Game Awards or whatever it was.
Oh, yeah.
So like when the first song happened or interactive music video or whatever, I was very glad that I liked it. I was like, as I was playing it, I was like, oh, thank God. Like, because you don't want to have to lie.
No, I get that.
I'm really happy about Fool's Gold, which is the second song that also drops on Thursday.
Yeah.
Because like
the first two might be my favorite. I'm not sure.
2 is my favorite vocally. Just like I'm the one like, oh, I feel good about this.
Yeah. It made me miss. It's funny because it had I was talking to Omni about it earlier, but like how my favorite Max karaoke plays didn't make it through COVID. I'm really sad about it.
Yeah.
But like Jay doing the karaoke stuff and stuff, I was like, it made me miss doing karaoke together. I was like, God damn it, I want to do karaoke again. Sorry, I cut you off.
Life is long.
I love Private room
nice.
karaoke.
I like private room karaoke too. It is possible. Everything is possible in certain ways. That doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, I don't know. I thought you were gonna connect.
I'm
with
right there
something.
with
Can you
you.
imagine?
I'm right
Thank you
there
for
with you.
thank you for coming with me. No,
Yeah. Everything is totally possible in some way.
I'm excited about the
Holy
second song
shit.
because I think it does that grounding thing we were talking about earlier. Of
Yeah.
like of the first song is very bubbly and poppy and it's representative of some of the energies of the show.
Yeah.
But 2 is like a very strong flip and it's like more sad. It's the Lucas Sad Boy song.
Yeah.
So
What you need.
yeah, you got to get that out there.
You need one of those out there,
Yeah.
you know. You never know which one's going to hit. Which
Yeah.
Billie Eilish is going to land? The sad-ass one or the cool, badass one?
Oh yeah, those are 2 different.
I think they both hit, didn't
Well,
they?
then they both hit. Yeah, then they both hit. But which one hits first, you know?
Absolutely.
You can't be sure.
Yeah,
One hopes they all hit.
for sure.
Which Billie Eilish
Absolutely.
are you going to be friends with? Sad Billie?
Sad Billy or bad Billy?
'Cause
Bad Billy.
Yeah.
Although the music video for, what's that one? Where she cries milk.
Oh yeah.
Black- is it milk?
It's like black milk. I don't know what it is.
Is that bad guy?
No, it's when the party's over.
Oh yeah.
Which one's the ones with the big wings? Where she's got big wings?
I don't know.
Big wings. I'm hungry now.
She has big wings.
For
They're like massive.
if you know, if you
Tweet at OFK the music video where Billie Eilish has the big fucking wings.
Big wings and like not
Hashtag
flying at all.
Mark Gormley little wings. Look that up too.
Mark Gormley?
That's a jam.
Oh.
put it on milk cartons, have you seen this music
Have you
video?
seen this? Thank you both so much.
Oh, thank you.
This was a lot of fun.
Yeah, this was cool.
I liked where we went. I feel like we talked about everything and nothing, which is how shit with me tends to go.
I think we covered everything.
Perfect.
Everything.
We've solved
From
it.
beginning to end.
We've solved it, gang.
Los Angeles, but also not Los Angeles.
Yeah.
Everything is possible from a certain point of view.
Sometimes.
Sometimes.
Well, the game is out. Play it
The game is out.
And say hi
The
on
first two
you want.
episodes.
the internet.
and say hi on the internet. Okay, bye.
We are Omni.
What?
Omni's omniboi on the internet. You should
Oh,
say
yeah.
hi to Omni. And
Yeah.
Say hi to Omni on the internet.
we're OFK band everywhere.
Yeah.
And that's
OFK
it.
band. No underscores or anything?
Just OFK band.
Oh, fuck.
Wasn't
Yeah,
taken.
we got it.
It wasn't taken. All right. Now can I do my okay bye hard cut thing?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Do you want
Thank you. And I didn't know if I did say that, and I don't think I'm going to be able to say it after
To
that
who,
hard
the
cut.
viewers?
No, to you.
Oh, well, thank you both for coming.
Do I need to thank them too?
No.
Oh, okay.
They like it rough.
If you find the Billie Eilish music video, we'll
But do tweet that at OFK Band and Omni
The
Boy.
big wings.
The one with the big wings.
Yeah, they'll know.
Don't put it in the comments because I'm going to try not to read those anymore because they always make me hate myself.
Same.
Also, we made a music video
Yeah,
together called
we
Trapped
sure
in the
did.
Comments. That was a long time ago.
It's good.
Lord.
In a way.
Okay, bye.